I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. And this is Currents.
Gospel music to the ears of one Queens parish.
A lot of people are very excited about it because of two things. One, it's new, and two, it's very, very well done.
Meet a nun whose performances are packing themes.
And she's allowed to raise her voice at Mass.
Music has been a part of, I believe, the human experience since the dawn of creation.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Later on this month, the Grammy Awards are going to be handed out. That's always a fun time, arguably the biggest honor in the music world. But tonight, we here are going to take a look at some musical acts that you're not likely to see in the running for Grammy Gold anyway.
No, but we're actually going to start tonight by heading to Sacred Heart Church in Cambria Heights, Queens. The parish there has been given a burst of energy, and it all started when the music director at Sacred Heart had the idea to start a gospel music program.
Yeah, you heard right, gospel music, and that program is known as The Experience. It is a very talented group of singers and musicians who not only provide music for the weekly masses, they also perform concerts that, as you're about to see, have people clapping their hands and stomping their feet.
So much fun. That's actually what we found out when we visited Sacred Heart Church last summer.
The experience came about as an expansion of the artistic movement here at Sacred Heart, because you have a choir, but they started to think, well, what would happen if we kind of chose people from all of the different choirs, the best musicians, the best singers, and then expanded even that to include acting, dancing, anything to express our Catholic faith.
Our faith lack promotion. You walk down the corner and there's somebody else handing you a pamphlet talking about being saved. And I think as a culture, as Catholics, we're not very vocal about our faith. And some people might tend to say that we're not very proud of our faith. So music being the area that we know well, and the area that moves us mostly and that binds our faith, is a great avenue for us to promote being Catholic and who we are.
When you first came here, what were some of the things that you noticed about the church?
The liturgy, the masses, the sacraments needed a little sprucing up, that's all. A lot of people are very excited about it because of two things. One, it's new, and two, it's very, very well done. And it's an experience. I mean, you want to be there because it's not anything that you've ever had to encounter before.
We really try to get members that are very talented. We pray for that, and we really go out. But we also members that are indeed Catholic and want to stay Catholic.
And just working with this choir has been amazing. Working with this group, working with the experience has been amazing. I think that it speaks to a lot of people. I mean, we had a lot of fun out there, and I think hopefully, people are going to see that in the performance. But once, we're going to even be having more fun. Like, music for everybody is something that's there when you're down, when you're up. And I think that it's something that helps to deepen your faith.
And so I saw a good thing that could be made even better. So by a little bit more attention to detail, a little bit more support of the directors and of the musicians, we seem to have really developed something fantastic.
Father Patterson, to me, is a phenomenal priest and a phenomenal pastor, and he's been super supportive from the very beginning.
He hungers very much for the church to be more exciting, for the mass to be more exciting. He hungers for music that people can join in, and because even when we bring other music in, he loves it, and he goes, "Well, I wish you guys wouldn't say this." So now that we're more comfortable, because we're really creating music that is around exactly who we are, for who we are, by us and for us.
It was like nothing I had ever seen, and it was fantastic. But then I started to get a little concerned, because because, you know, 5 o'clock Mass in just about any church on Saturday is not the liveliest crowd of people. And Michael Capobianco, who is our music director here, wanted to bring that to the 5 o'clock Mass, and I was like, oh no. You know, it's almost having my Fred Sanford moment, you know. This is it. The people loved it. The people loved it. I was very, very, very surprised. Then he tried the same thing at 8 o'clock Mass. The people loved it. And so this experience is quite an experience.
Well, the experience there at Sacred Heart Parish in Cambria Heights in Queens. And they've actually even released their own CD, as a matter of fact. Yeah, very impressive. We've actually written about that on our blog. Just head over to currentsny.net and click on Riding the Wave.
And stay tuned, there's much more current straight ahead. When we return, we have the day's headlines, including, does the Pope need to be on guard? What's being done to make St. Peter's a safer place? Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Coming up a bit later, we'll introduce you to someone who leads her congregation in song, and she loves every minute of it.
But first, let's take a look at the day's headlines. Congress is back in Washington after breaking for the holidays, and attention is once again turning toward health care reform. Now comes the task of ironing out the differences between the House and Senate versions of the bill. One big question mark is whether or not taxpayer abortion funding will be included in the final legislation. A Rasmussen Reports poll released this week found that 53% of Americans oppose federal funding of abortion. Meantime, evangelical leaders in the U.S. have placed abortion at the top of their list of the greatest moral issues facing the country. Moral relativism and mistreatment of others came in a close second and third, respectively. The list was compiled from a survey by the National Association of Evangelicals. The Archdiocese of Milwaukee has a new leader. Archbishop Jerome Listecki was installed yesterday as the 11th Archbishop of Milwaukee. Listecki replaces Archbishop Timothy Dolan, who now serves here in New York. A new report shows there were more than 1,200 crimes committed against Christian churches and organizations last year. The report, published by the Christian Security Network, is the very first of its kind. Among the crimes reported were 12 murders and 98 arsons. Christian Security Network says the study also highlights the difficulty of conducting a study like this, since there is no mandatory requirement that the crimes be reported to a government agency. Still, the organization hopes to keep compiling numbers and compare last year's numbers to future reports. A Brooklyn food pantry is going high-tech to help meet the dietary needs of the poor. St. John's Bread and Life, based in Bedford-Stuyvesant, already has computers installed to help people choose their food. But in the coming months, the software will be updated so people with special diets due to diabetes, obesity, or hypertension can stick to them. The new software is being installed thanks to a $10,000 grant from the Aetna Foundation.
Well, some changes are coming to security at St. Peter's Basilica. This after a woman jumped a barricade and caused Pope Benedict to fall during the procession at midnight Mass on Christmas Eve. Reports say the new measures will include the widening of the aisle, which the Pope, concelebrants, and others use to process to the altar. The barriers that separate the Pope from the crowd have already been moved outwards to expand space for the procession. The number of guards will remain the same, but officials say the extra room will allow them to maneuver more easily. Well, 2009 was a busy year for Pope Benedict. The Vatican says more than 2 million people attended public events held by the pontiff last year at the Vatican and the summer residence at Castel Gandolfo. The numbers do not include Benedict's 5 pastoral visits, stops at local Roman parishes, or his trips abroad. Well, if you would like to see the Pope every day of 2010, look no further than your wall. We get some details from Rome Reports.
If you want Benedict XVI and John Paul II to be with you in 2010, it's pretty easy. On a monthly basis, you can take a look at the best photos of the popes in this calendar made by the Vatican's Photographic Archives, a very special calendar made right here at the Vatican.
L'idea è nata dal gruppo.
The idea came about at the Vatican's Photographic Service because with such a vast photographic heritage, it would be a shame not to use these great pictures to share images of the Pope.
Every year, there are about 1 million snapshots to choose from of Benedict XVI for the calendar, a special selection that has to meet strict criteria.
Il criterio principale.
It's an aesthetic criterion. We look for images that are beautiful and meaningful and that transmit facial expressions, like the Pope's smile, but we also use others that show the Pope with people at meetings.
In all, some 40,000 copies are distributed and available in several formats and sizes. They're sold in the Vatican and are also available at newsstands throughout Italy and on the internet. And although John Paul II died 5 years ago, he continues to break record sales.
Normalmente notiamo che
images and calendars with John Paul II are more popular, but we also receive requests for those with Benedict XVI.
The calendar showcases some of the most memorable moments of their pontificates, along with their closeness to the public, special meetings with heads of states, and others that should never be forgotten.
Lo scopo fondamentale di tutta
We want to depict the Pope as the father of all people, not just of Christians and Catholics, but of the whole world, a Pope who relates to everyone and who goes out to others. We show a peaceful and smiling person, a person full of humanity.
This is the calendar's 3rd edition, and for the 2011 version, the calendar comes with the Vatican's official agenda.
Inoltre stiamo preparando, ma questo sarà.
We're preparing an agenda that will be filled with beautiful pictures for 2011.
An agenda and the best pictures of the popes that the public will have to wait for another 12 months to see on newsstands.
And finally, the Vatican newspaper has paid tribute to Bono and his Irish rock band U2. A review of the book U2, The Name of Love, appears in the January 4th and 5th edition of the Roman Observer. The article examines biblical passages and themes in Bono's lyrics. That review comes just a week after the paper paid tribute to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
All right, well, stay with us. When Currents returns, we'll meet a nun who plays to packed houses all across the country.
And we'll get the story behind the bass and snare drums at one uptown parish.
Peter was a jazz musician, so that's how the jazz mass came to be. So you can say it came from God through Peter Hartman.
Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and Hermana Glenda, perhaps. Well, the first two names are familiar to most people from the baby boomer generation and perhaps even beyond.
That's right, but that last name, Sister Glenda, has been packing theaters in English and Spanish-speaking countries, and you're about to find out why. She's got a great voice. She's a nun who's evangelizing with her voice and with her guitar. Our Natalia Ortiz caught up with Sister Glenda last summer at one of her rehearsals.
Si nada es imposible para ti, ¿por qué tengo miedo? Si nada es imposible para ti, nothing is impossible for you, nothing is impossible for God. ¿Es correcto?
This singing nun may doubt whether we can understand her English, but when it comes to spreading the word of God, not even her thick Chilean accent can stop her from delivering the sound of music to Spanish-speaking audiences everywhere.
Creo que es el lenguaje universal más grande. Toca el corazón, toca la mente, y yo creo que es el lenguaje más apto para hablar de Dios.
Hermana Glenda Hernández, as she's known to her Hispanic fans, was born in Parral, Chile 38 years ago, but she and her music have traveled the world accomplishing her mission, evangelization. She's got a PhD in psychology and is a theologian, a graduate of the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome, the most prestigious university of theology. Ironically, music is the one area she didn't prepare for.
Para mí es un misterio porque no sé cantar. O sea, no he estudiado canto, no sé música.
Her no-frills way of explaining Bible texts through music is what she's known for, making her an unlikely pop star.
For me, she's an inspiration. I've been using her songs during the Mass and liturgies and prayer services, and she is a good asset to the Catholic community.
About the only thing she has in common with most rock stars is a love for music and a fan base. But she's careful to point out they shouldn't actually be her fans, but fans of Christ. And though this singer-songwriter is also known for garnering laughs, she enables people to reflect upon their Catholic faith during trying times as well.
La gente escribe y cuenta cómo en un momento difícil se acuerda de una canción de la hermana Glenda. Y no se acuerda de una canción de la hermana Glenda, se acuerda de un texto bíblico que está detrás. Y se acuerda de la palabra del Señor en un momento oportuno. Y a mí me da una alegría tremenda haber podido ayudar a alguien a que encuentre esa palabra. Para mí esa es mi droga, esa es mi felicidad.
And she's taking her happiness on the road. But how did Catholic nuns start holding concert tours?
Para mí fue una sorpresa. Una monja que daba clase en un colegio, que era psicóloga, escuchando a la gente que sufre. De pronto la invitan a cantar a Toronto y ahí empieza todo.
She became an instant hit after she performed in Toronto at World Youth Day in 2002. It's no wonder she's got such a strong following of young people who 7 years and 5 CDs later are still fans.
Yo creo que la gente joven está buscando algo que le dé sentido a su vida y yo creo que Jesús es una muy buena opción. Al cantar, tú como que la cantas, la sientes, se la dices a Dios o Dios te la dice a ti. Yo creo que la gente, por eso un poco la gente joven que busca también momentos no solo de baile, sino de reflexión, le va bien también la hermana Glenda. ¿Por qué no?
And we have much more about Hermana Glenda at our website. Just head on over to currentsny.net.
Well, earlier we saw how gospel music has grabbed the hearts and the souls of One Queen's Church. Elsewhere in the city, parishioners are bopping to a little bit of a different beat. It is music that you're more likely to hear at the Blue Note, Birdland, and Iridium. We're talking, of course, about jazz. Not necessarily music that you would expect to hear at Mass, but that is exactly what is happening at Church of the Ascension on Manhattan's Upper West Side. And I recently had a chance to go check it out for myself. Jazz Mass at Church of the Ascension is like nothing you've ever heard in church. The goal, to attract a new Catholic audience through the gift of contemporary song.
People in the parish were complaining that we didn't have an evening Mass, especially young people, and they had gone to other parishes and they weren't too happy. They wanted a liturgy that they were kind of used to. And someone on the block, Peter Hartman, had volunteered to play music. So when we decided that we would try to start a Mass, we just asked Peter if he'd play, and Peter was a jazz musician, so that's how the Jazz Mass came to be. So you can say it came from God through Peter Hartman.
Bass player Peter Hartman creates many of the arrangements himself, weaving bossa nova and Afro-Cuban rhythms into liturgies and processionals proclaiming the Word of God.
When you sing, it's like a prayer times two, you know. You're singing. Music is a gift from God, and so when you do it, you're letting your light shine. And so, if it's good music, then that glorifies God.
You got to remember, this is a church. You know, it's not a ballroom. And I'm glad that the people accept what he's doing. I'm glad they accept what I'm playing.
About 300 people attend the weekly Jazz Mass, 80% of whom are under 40. Once a month, they also get treated to a martini night afterwards, serving up cocktails, a covered dish dinner, and camaraderie in the parish hall.
One woman came up to him and said, "Oh, Father, that jazz music, I don't think I like that jazz music. I feel like I should have a martini in my hand." So he coined the phrase, the martini night.
Your servant am I. Oh,
I thought it was fantastic. I had never seen anything like it before. There was maybe 20, 30 people there. Next Martini night, I said, Father, I think we should make an announcement. He said, get up in the pulpit and make the announcement. So I did, and in like one time, the crowd grew to like 50 people.
I think jazz mass is very different than most traditional Catholic masses. I like it. It just adds a different dynamic into it. I'm not necessarily all that into jazz music, but I really like the flow. Some of the songs we typically sing repetitively, you know, they have good meaning. And then the Martini Mass is once a month, which is it's really nice because it is a social hour, and it's like they say, it's like our version of coffee hour, but it's at night, so you still get to meet people because it's so easy in the Catholic Church to come and to go and to just sort of it be your own personal thing when it should be more, or it should have an aspect of community involved, you know, people to help you out and stuff when you need it.
I kid you not, people were swaying in their seats, tapping their toes. You know, it was cute. You know, you could see them very much getting into it.
Right. That's the goal, I guess, you know, is to reach, kind of reach a new generation with a different kind of music. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's so cool. It's definitely neat to hear a different take on the Mass and hear music that the melody you're used to hearing, but hearing it in a different way. It's really a neat thing.
Yeah, Peter Hartman is the one who does all the arranging over there, and he also, you know, plays within the trio, plays the jazz music, and does really a remarkable job. And once a month, they also offer a Martini night over at Church of the Ascension, which really is sort of their answer to a coffee hour. Yeah. Since the Mass takes place on Sunday evening, they decided that they would do like a potluck dinner, and that's really fun too. And it's a great way to meet people, network, and get to really know some of the people in your parish community. In addition to just sitting next to them in the pews. Yeah, well, definitely a creative way to reach out to the community and reach out to young people in the community especially, because there they are right there. There they are.
Well, stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up straight ahead.
Coming up, in the shadow of Lincoln Center, a singer you may not know about.
This is so not about me. This is about just simply using a gift that God gave me so He can work through me.
Well, finally tonight, we've already seen gospel and jazz music play a vibrant part to local parishes, but now we want to take a look at a musician who plays a more traditional part of the Catholic liturgy.
She does. Many churches in our area have cantors who lead the congregation in singing parts of the liturgy, and for the woman that you're about to see, that is just one of her musical outlets.
Nancy Meyer appears both on the stage and screen in productions including Damn Yankees and Kiss Me Kate, and shows like Law and Order and All My Children.
She's also a faith-filled person, singing every week just down the block from Lincoln Center, actually, as a cantor at St. Paul the Apostle Church in Midtown Manhattan. And tonight, Nancy Meyer tells about her faith as our eyewitness.
The music serves me when I am down, when I am hurting, when I'm in pain, and questioning and seeking. That's where I find my solace, my peace, is in the music. I did grow up in the church, baptized right at the beginning. My parents are Catholic, my grandparents very devout Catholics. I feel like my real faith, my real personal relationship with God began when my father went to Vietnam. Every night, this was just a family thing, we'd always kneel around the bed and pray for my father to come home safely. And thank you, he did. I remembered being in that children's choir and thinking, why can't they hear that they're not singing the right notes? Music has been a part of, I believe, the human experience since the dawn of creation. I like to think there is spirit in music, in all music, but that's the thing that draws us to music. There is something that speaks to us. This is so not about me. This is about just simply using a gift that God gave me so He can work through me. I am humbled to feel that Christ uses me this way. Whenever there's those moments of weariness and trying to just muscle it up for another 8 o'clock in the morning mass or something, that's what I go back to. Why am I here? I am here to serve. I am here to serve the people. That is my job. And to inspire faith, to inspire a personal relationship, to inspire an epiphanal moment, perhaps. I do it just to simply promote a deeper sense of their relationship with God. That gives me great joy. It gives me great joy to just be used, to just simply be used that way. I want to inspire people and hopefully bring a little peace to their lives.
You know, I mentioned earlier that Nancy Meyer appeared in the musical Damn Yankees. Well, that particular production featured none other than Dick Van Dyke.
Very nice. Yeah, she's very talented, and it's so nice that she can take her true talents, her gift of song and her gift of voice, and use them, you know, professionally, but also, you know, within her faith at the church as well.
Right, right. It's always a great thing when you're able to do something that you love to do and something that you're called to do, and kind of be able to meld the two. And she's definitely doing that, and doing that in such a great place at St. Paul the Apostle too, because I mean, like as you said earlier, you're right down the street from Lincoln Center. Yes. It's such a grand, beautiful church to begin with. So yeah, I mean, it's a great place to be in for her.
Yeah, so if you're in the neighborhood visiting, drop by, check it out. You know, I'm sure that she would love to have some new fans, if you will.
See great shows at Lincoln Center, and then you can hear great music as well at St. Paul the Apostle.
Why not? Right. Well, that is all for this particular edition of Currents. On tomorrow's show, we'll look at the role that women play in the life of the church.
Until then, though, be sure to check us out online at our website. It's currentsny.net. Well, for all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great night.